Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon. Private Bus Association on strike, claiming insufficient fuel quota. Bus fare reduction unfair, says Private Bus Owners Association.
අපි තීන්දුවක් ගත්තා. අද දැන්ටමත් අපි අපේ නීතිඥ මහතුරුන්ට දුන්නා ජාතික ගමනාගමන කොමිසම සභාවට එරෙහිව නඩු පවරන්න.
Farmers request fuel before their harvest is lost.
Diesel petrol ටික අපේ රසායනික පොහට ඉතා ඉක්මනින් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Another shooting incident. China's firing of ballistic missiles around Taiwan impacts Japan's national security, says Japan. On to those stories in detail. The Private Bus Owners Association is staging a strike demanding sufficient fuel for their operations. The strike has inconvenienced the general public severely. The association is demanding that fuel quotas issued under the National Fuel Pass system be increased to 120 litres. Public transport services were severely impacted in many areas due to the strike. Long-distance buses did not operate from the main bus stand in Bastion Mawatha in Fort. We have been waiting in queues for days. We have to earn some money. We have to eat. At the end of the day, we don't even have money to pump fuel. They're giving us 40 litres of fuel. Can we carry out operations from 40 litres? We absolutely cannot. All CTB buses are in operation. They were operating all along. They have fuel, but we don't. That is unjust and unfair. Should our children eat? Our correspondent noted SLTP buses were in operation as usual. However, large crowds were seen travelling in the buses. Private buses did not operate from the Anuradhapura town. Large crowds were seen waiting at the bus stand. Similar scenes were seen in Panadura as well. People were seen stranded, spending large amounts of time on either side of the road, waiting for buses. Trains operating along the coastal lines were also crowded as a result of the strike. Meanwhile, our correspondent noted there was a noticeable drop in long-distance buses operating from Dambula town. Again, the public were left waiting. Our correspondents noted SLTB buses were in operation as usual. Our correspondent observed a large drop in private buses at the main bus stand in Bogambara Kandy, affecting passengers, especially those waiting to travel in long-distance buses. Meanwhile, all private buses operating from the Horana town have refrained from operating today. However, our correspondent noted SLTB buses were operation as usual. A drop in private buses was seen from the Kurunagala main bus stand. But according to our correspondent, a higher than usual number of SLTP buses were in operation. The strike launched by the workers attached to the Mathura private buses enters its third day today. People from Mathura were severely inconvenienced due to the strike. Our correspondent said several SLTB buses were in operation. Meanwhile, the National Transport Commission says bus fares were decreased by 11.14% with effect from midnight. NTC Director General Dr. Nilan Miranda said the minimum bus fare was reduced to 34 rupees from the previous rate of 38. Meanwhile, the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association convened a media briefing in Colombo and explained the reasons for staging the strike.
අද දිනේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් බස් අත 10,500ක් වගේ ප්‍රමාණයක්
Between 1,000 to 1,500 buses are in operation for short distance travel today, only in areas where fuel is available. However, the issue here is that almost 10,000 buses remain inactive without fuel. We have discussed this issue with the Ministry of Transport since this morning today. The chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation informed me that they will facilitate for the increase in fuel allowance for buses under the QR code system from next week. Moreover, the other issue we have is with regard to bus fare. They increased the bus fares without informing us. With this, the National Transport Commission has violated the provisions underlined in the national policy on bus fare revisions. There would have been no issue if they discussed this with us and took the decision. We informed our lawyers about this issue as well.
අපේ නීතිඥ මහතුරුන්ට දුන්නා ජාතික ගමනාගමන කොමිසම සභාවට එරෙහිව නඩු පවරන්න.
The Ministry of Power and Energy has announced that they have already placed orders for the next month's fuel requirement. The ministry says necessary payment will be made in the near future. The ministry added that the QR code system is proving to be successful and they will continue to operate the system when distributing fuel in the island. The QR code system was implemented in many areas of the island today as well. The cooperative filling station in Hingurakuda, Polonnaruwa finally received fuel after 3 long days. Our Newsfirst correspondent reported that there were long queues to pump fuel at the filling station in Hingurakuda. Even though there were long queues for fuel in Navala, fuel had not yet arrived at the filling station. Long queues could be seen at the Karualagaswawa filling station to pump fuel using the QR code system. This was the situation in Puttalam. The Left Bank Farmers Committee of Galloya convened a media briefing urging that fuel be issued before their crops fail. We were deceived, but we still cultivated. They promised fertilizer, but never provided. The crops have grown and we need to harvest them. The crops will not work according to our schedule. Now there's fuel. Farmers are waiting in fuel queues with their cans to purchase fuel. If the leadership of this country eats rice, they need to provide fuel if we are to reap the harvest. They are providing 16 litres for an acre. How can we get 16 litres when the filling stations are receiving inadequate stocks? We requested chemical fertilizer a few months ago. Still there are crops that requires fertilizer. However, we never received them. We paid for the fertilizer by selling the paddies we had stored for our family when they announced that they will provide at least 20 kilograms of chemical fertilizer for an acre of land. I'm requesting the authorities to please provide chemical fertilizer. The National Freedom Front made the following remarks at a press briefing today with regard to purchasing fuel from Russia.
If they are unable to purchase fuel from Russia immediately, please tell us why. A few officers at the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation are trying to make this a solution that never takes place. They're deliberately delaying the purchase. We demand President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara to not give in to corrupt authorities and solve this fuel crisis by taking action through the cabinet. We demand the President and Subject Minister to take action within the next 2 weeks.
අපි ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාගෙනුත් ඛනිජ තෙල් අමාත්‍ය කාංචන විජේසේකර මහතාගෙනුත් අපි ඉල්ලනවා.
5 vehicles have met with an accident near a filling station in Anamaduwa. Our Newsfirst correspondent reported that a van travelling from Kilinochchi to the Katunaika airport had collided into vehicles waiting in a queue to pump fuel. One person was injured in the crash. He has been admitted to the Colombo National Hospital after initially being admitted into the Chilav General Hospital. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will hold discussions with members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya on the formation of an all-party government this evening. Representing the SJB, leader of the opposition Sajid Premadasa, Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyalla and General Secretary of the party Ranjit Madhuba Bandara are scheduled to participate in the discussion at the Finance Ministry later today. SJB MP Ashok Abir Singh commented ahead of the meeting.
As
the main opposition party, we are joining a discussion at 3 p.m. today as per the invitation by the President. The people in this country must be made aware that we as the main opposition will contribute to bringing this country out of chaos. The government must present a plan and a way forward for an all-party government. We need to be informed of their next course of action. If they are to establish an all-party government, then the main opposition must be members of it. This should be an interim government. They must go for an election within a period of 6 months or 1 year. Corrupt politicians must not be permitted in the cabinet of this interim government.
Legendary cricketer Sanath Jayasuriya has been appointed as the tourism ambassador of Sri Lanka. The appointment was officially made at an event in Colombo yesterday. The event was held to present appointment letters to the members of the Tourism Advisory Committee appointed to uplift tourism in Sri Lanka. Subject Minister Harin Fernando presented the letter to the one-time Master Blaster Sanath Jayasuriya.
Master Blaster, legendary Sanath Jayasuriya. Come on, keep the applause going. Come on, everybody. Let's put our hands together louder. Come on, we need more energy. We need more energy. Energy, energy, energy. Energy in the house.
We are at a pivotal time in history, and we must do everything in our power to bring back the glory days in Sri Lankan tourism. I believe this will also help our nation to gain momentum with the much needed foreign income we so desperately seek. Tourism has always been one of our main earners, and I would like to see this industry thrive and become the #1 sector to gain the highest earnings for the country. I'm keen to reach out to our friends from around the world and invite each and every one of you to visit Sri Lanka. We have so much natural beauty and amazing attraction to offer and explore. When you visit Sri Lanka, you will directly affect many livelihoods and indirectly uplift so many households.
We have over 3 million people who are dependent on the tourism sector. So Sanataya, that's a big, I know he has a big heart. He loves the Sri Lankan people, and I'm sure he can go back and open and come not out and show us the strength of what we can do. I want all of you to join me and help me to put the tourism back up in the map. And there's no political agendas. Sanath is not a political appointment. None of these advisors were political appointments, or the chairmans are political appointments. What I see is, I am so Sri Lankan. I want Sri Lanka to achieve our goal.
Shifting your attention to international news. Japan's Prime Minister today condemned China's firing of ballistic missiles during military drills around Taiwan, calling them a serious problem that impacts Japan's national security and the safety of their citizens.
Tokyo has said that 5 Chinese missiles appear to have fallen in the country's exclusive economic zone, with 4 of those believed to have flown over Taiwan's main island. After meeting U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told reporters that China's actions this time around have a serious impact on the peace and stability of the region and the international community. Pelosi is in Tokyo for the final leg of an Asian tour that included a stop in Taiwan, infuriating Beijing, which has launched its largest ever military drills around the self-ruled island in response.
The US government has declared the monkeypox outbreak a public health emergency following a spike in cases.
The decision will speed up the distribution of vaccines, treatments and federal resources to curb the spread of the virus. It comes less than a fortnight after the World Health Organization issued its highest emergency alert following a worldwide surge in cases. According to health officials, monkeypox cases in the US have now topped 6,600. A quarter of these cases have appeared in the state of New York, which declared its own state of emergency over the disease last week.
Gammadda. For the people. By the people.
Up next is Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
A shooting was reported inside a restaurant in Goviyapana, Ahangama last night while power was out in the area. A 44-year-old father of 3 was shot dead. Another person who was injured in the shooting is receiving treatment at the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital.
Crime Watch.
A 34-year-old man was shot dead in Lunugambehera last night. Police said the victim's brother-in-law had carried out the shooting over a personal dispute between the two families.
Crime Watch.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanes, and you take care and stay safe.